Are you tired of wearing all of the hats in your business? What if I told you you can clone yourself without actually doing it? So stick around as we discover how AI can be your ultimate business partner. Today, we're talking about the secret to scaling your business without hiring more people. And if that sounds too good to be true, I have AI expert Rick Mulready here to share everything you need to know about how AI assistants can transform your operations. Rick, welcome to Well-Oiled Operations.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. I'm excited about this conversation. I love
Oh
talking
my
about this
goodness.
stuff.
Yeah, I geek out on this kind of stuff. And when I found out Rick is the guy we need to talk to, and I already had so much, I feel like you had so much credibility in my mind because you're just
Mm.
a techie guy. You dig into this kind of stuff. This is your wheelhouse. And what scares me about listening to AI experts, air quotes,
Yeah,
it's not been around that long for anybody to be an expert.
yeah,
So what I love is I know you are the techie guy. You are going to dig, you are going to use it, you are going to test it. So you're giving me confidence of what you say I can really take back to my team and say, "Okay, Rick said it, I believe it. Let's go all in." So I'm just really grateful to have you here.
Well, I'm flattered that you think I'm techie because I'm really
Oh my
not.
goodness. If you can do Facebook ads or any of that stuff, you are techie in
Yeah,
my eyes.
I like to dig into it and figure it out and be
Yeah.
able to simplify it for businesses
Yes.
because everybody, most I think the experts that you're talking about are way technical, and
Yes.
they're too technical to be able to like distill it down
Mhm.
so that a business can actually use what they're talking about, you
Yeah,
know?
and then they scare me because it just sounds so advanced and
Yeah.
they're using phrases that I just don't get. So then I start to go, maybe this isn't for me.
Yep.
However, I know after what I've researched, this is for me and this is
Yep.
definitely for my audience who wants more help, wants to scale, but not can't necessarily just keep hiring more people. So I'm really excited. So I use the phrase AI assistants. Can you tell us what does that even mean? Just kind of give us a little backstory.
Yeah. So AI assistants. So I think the first thing to remember is that when people are using terminology like assistants, GPTs, chatbots, Claude projects, they're
Mhm.
all pretty much interchangeable.
Okay.
And, a chatbot, yeah, that could be like a customer service assistant, for example.
Mhm.
But in order to create or in order to have an assistant, I should say, that can say, write sales page copy, write email copy, write ads copy, be your business analyst, be your business
Mhm.
strategist. These are all different quote assistants, and it means all the same thing in terms of when somebody says, "Oh, let's go create a GPT in ChatGPT," or "I'm going to create a project inside of Claude."
Mm.
We're talking about the exact same thing.
Okay.
Now, when people use the word agent, though, that's where it gets a little wonky, if you will, because I mean, I don't know when this episode will come out, but we're recording this sort of third week-ish of November 2024. As of
Mm.
right now, the technology, the public-facing technology, I should say, for agents doesn't exist. Um, I shouldn't say that either. It's not refined enough to
Okay.
use. It exists, but a true that when we're talking about an agent, it's like
Mhm.
you give it a task and it does it without an SOP essentially.
Okay.
So you give it a task, it goes and does all of the steps all by itself. And so a super simplified example of that would be like, "Oh, I'm traveling over the holidays. I'm going to Chicago. Um, take care of my travel arrangements." So it'll go book you, it'll go find the flight, book the flight, hotel, etc., book the car. You're not telling it to do this and then this and then this.
Mhm.
You just tell it what you want and then it'll go do it.
Yeah.
That technology, like
Mhm.
the public facing um agent, if you will,
Mhm.
is it's here, but it's not streamlined yet.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I would say Q1 2025, which is not very far away.
No.
There will be the ability to be able to do this. I think it's going to be rough at first.
Yeah.
Like Anthropic has just a quick terminology. Anthropic has Claude, just like OpenAI has ChatGPT. So Anthropic has their quote unquote computer use,
Okay.
which is agent like. So it can access your browser and do things that you tell it to do. Um, Google's coming out with Jarvis later this year. I mean, it's rumored to come out in December.
Okay.
So these are more agents as opposed to the assistant, which are these GPTs
Yeah.
or Claude projects.
Okay. Amazing. So to give people some just like tangible things like what does this even mean? Why would this be easier for us? So this was
Yep.
really interesting for me to see. Like it's one of those things where I keep hearing about it, hearing about it, hearing about it, not doing it. And then some of my employees are just starting to use it on their own. So for instance, we have an onboarding process, right? After
Yep.
somebody buys into the program, we onboard them with a coach. And it's really, really important that handoff, right? We want to make
Yep.
sure whoever spoke to them originally has the best notes to pass to their coach. So we're not having to like have you repeat everything. So
Yep.
what's really funny is all of a sudden our customer success team is like, this person has by far the best coaching notes out of anybody. Could you ask them to show how they're doing it so everybody else can do it?
Yeah.
Of course, he's using AI.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
basically, what he's doing is it's just like you would teach an employee, hey, this is how you do the system. Here's what we need to
Yeah.
see. And he's just putting the entire video into it, grabbing, and it knows, grab this, grab that, where's this, that. So
Yep.
of course he looks amazing and he's like, I'm doing less work than anybody on the team, right?
Totally.
He's getting the credit for it. And I love it. So to help the onboarding process amazing, we're looking at heavy marketing stuff, right? You just said, newsletters, email
Yep.
newsletters, what to post on Instagram. I
Yep.
mean, I'm not looking at firing anybody. I'm looking at making everybody on my team like 10 times faster.
That's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I mean, something as simple as what that person's doing on your team. I mean, I almost want to say it's thinking outside the box, but unfortunately, or I should say, in actuality, these days, you kind of have to be thinking like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Sure.
well, I have a sales call with somebody. Normally, it would be, okay, I'm going to record the sales call, or I'm not recording the call and I'm taking notes. And then I'm going to go and put my notes together and write an email and or whatever kind of thing I need to forward on to somebody else. It's
Mhm.
just like attach, Fathom or Fireflies or Zoom AI to the calls. So it's taking the notes for you. And then you can ask that AI tool afterwards if you ask it, meaning, all right, it recorded the call, ask it for whatever you want. What were the biggest objections that person brought up on the call?
Yeah.
Um, there's any number of things you can do. And the cool thing is like it doesn't have to be expensive
Right.
to do these things.
Okay. I love it. So let's actually talk about that. What kind of cost is involved to get the right softwares and to start setting some of this up? Hey, are you a business owner that's looking to not just increase their revenue, but actually have it positively impact your profit without you working more? Because let's be honest, there isn't any more time in the day. If so, I want to invite you to my free training called Protect Your Profit. I'm going to be breaking down our 3-part well-oiled operations framework. We're going to be going over the plan, the people, and the process. This training is completely free. We've already had over 100,000 small business owners join us, as this is one of our most popular trainings and you're in luck because we've got another one coming up very soon and it will be live. The strategy I'll share in this training is how we landed on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America list the last 2 years in a row. And I'll show you how to create a winning team of revenue generators, people that actually make you money, not cost you money, even if you don't think you can afford it. Go to welloiledclass.com and get registered for free. You'll walk away from this session with strategies you can actually implement and apply immediately, as well as I'll be gifting my 16-page hiring handbook, how to recruit, hire, and train top-tier talent. So come hang out with me and a few other 100 small business owners who are all looking to scale their business while scaling back their time. So get signed up for free at welloiledclass.com or click the link in the show notes, and I will see you there.
So I'm going to kind of flip that on its head because
Okay.
what most people do is say, oh, okay, I have, everybody's heard of ChatGPT. So, okay, I got ChatGPT. I'm going to do this with it. well,
Yep.
maybe this, whatever you're talking about, isn't the best thing to do with ChatGPT, or maybe ChatGPT isn't the best tool for that. So I like to do what I call like the needs first
Okay.
framework, looking at, and this is for any, we've talked about reverse engineering things for years, right? In our business. What are the things that we need to accomplish in our business? First, understand that. Like, what are the big pain points? What are the big challenges? So that person, for example, on your team, all right, the challenge is I'm going to have a call and it takes me a lot of time to put these notes together so
Mhm.
that, and that's important because the onboarding process
Yes.
needs to be super streamlined. Okay, cool. Well, that is the problem, if you will, that we're solving for. We want to make that better. We want to simplify it. And then we figure out which tool is, or tools or automation is the best way to solve that problem. Most people do not do it that way. Most
Yeah.
people go to, like I said, the tool and say, okay, how can I use this tool? Rather than let's figure out what the problem or thing that I want to get off my plate is. What are the steps in which to do that? Then comes up, the whole SOP that everybody loves to hate, myself included. But it's super easy. AI can help with that too.
Yeah.
Once we know what that is, then we get our SOP. Then we can figure out, oh, okay, there's 7 steps in this process. Oh, right here, Claude can help with this, or ChatGPT, or this tool or that tool. That's how you do it,
Yeah.
because that way you're going to save on all these, because there's 8 million tools coming out every single week, right? And it's super
Yeah.
overwhelming. So when we can understand what problem are we solving first, and then figure out the tool, um, you know, I think that to answer the original question, you could be doing this with, I mean, literally 2 to 3 tools
Okay.
in your business. And I say, it's like the death by $20
Right.
monthly subscriptions.
Seriously, how many more do we need?
Yeah, I mean, you can do, for example, most people will say, "Well, I don't want to." Is there a way to get around doing ChatGPT um, plus getting Claude Pro? So there's $40, $20 each, and then this other tool. What if you got a tool like Poe.com, Poe.com? It's $20 a month, and you get access to
Yeah.
all the models, and you can build your chatbots in there, your assistants in there
Okay.
too. So
So,
doing it that way is better.
and I get it, $20, $40. You're
Yep,
like, how many more of these do I need? But when you're talking about making your team that you
yep,
might be spending 1,000, 5,000 a month,
yep,
and for $60, $80, you're making him or her faster, it is
yep,
worth every penny. Like,
totally.
we had a copywriter that was doing a specific activity, and it was taking her about 4 hours to do that activity. I showed her how to do it with AI, and now she does it in 1 hour.
Yep,
So I only have to pay for an hour of output, right?
yeah,
Input versus 4
totally.
times that.
Yep,
So I will pay 60, $80 a month to save, three quarters of what she was getting paid, right? And not that she got a pay cut or she's working less, she's just doing more for me, which is really speeding up our company.
totally. Yeah, I mean, she can get through things quicker. The for everybody listening, like the copywriters are usually going to be the last to adopt this because
Yeah.
they feel the biggest threat to their job.
Yeah.
But that's a great way, like a great way to think about it. As long as they're open to it, and
Yeah,
you know
I
what?
had to reassure her. I was like, "Listen,
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not replacing you, but
Yep.
you are like, if this really took you 4 hours, I have to show you how I could whip this." I mean, some of these things I could do in 10, 20 minutes. Now,
Yeah.
I do think your AI is only as smart as the person running it, right? I mean, just like if I had a coach, but I ask bad questions, I'm going to get like really low quality
Right.
answers,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I do think we have to still educate ourselves on AI because the way she was using AI, she wasn't getting what I was getting. And I said, listen, let me show you how I do it. And she's like, my mind is blown right now.
Yeah.
Right. Very different.
Yeah, it's the whole like crap in, crap out.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
are asking a bad question, like you're not going to get a great answer from
Mhm.
AI. It's like anything else.
Yeah. So
Um,
I
and
I want people to use it, but you've got to get educated before you start using it and thinking this is amazing.
because it's like, as you know, I did Facebook ads for years and years, and people are like, "Oh, I tried it. and it doesn't work, so I'm not doing it anymore. Well,
Yeah.
like, well, how long did you actually do it? It's the same thing with AI. It's like, well, I tried to write an email with AI and it didn't sound like me at all,
Yeah.
and it was all off. So, this doesn't work. Well, no, it's because you didn't do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It will work. It can sound like you, but you got to do a few things in order to get it to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and with the team, like there are all these, not all of them, but a lot of the bigger tools, say like ChatGPT or Claude, or some of these uh, AI note takers for Zoom
Mhm.
calls. They have
Yep.
team plans that you can add a whole bunch of people to. It's not $20 a month because the
Yeah.
price will go up because you have a lot of people using it. But if you want to get adoption on said tool across the team, they've got team plans for that.
Okay, amazing. So what are some like key tasks or processes that you think AI could be taking over to free up some time
Yeah.
in somebody's small business?
The things that, well, I can give you an example like from my own
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and I've been, I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, I mean, it's the reality, right?
Yeah.
So I put out a newsletter every Sunday morning.
Mhm.
It's called the AI Playbook, and the top part is news stories that are relevant to online businesses, because
Okay.
there's umpteen daily AI newsletters, and you have to find the little things within them.
Mhm.
You really have to like find the needle in the haystack in there, because I don't it's cool that they've developed an AI robot that will make my coffee. Amazing. I want one,
Yeah.
but the online business owner doesn't care,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
right.
they want to know, oh, whatever. Claude has just released projects and this is
Mhm.
how it can help you. So anyway, so it's putting together an AI workflow
'Kay.
that will create my newsletter for me and cut literally 5 hours a week down to 30 minutes. So it's what are the things that are, and everybody's favorite exercise, by the way, is the whole time audit, you know?
Yes.
So if you can do a time audit, it's a pain in the butt, but what it can tell you is gold, right? So
1000%.
looking at those things that are like, you know what, it's taking a long time every single week. I hate doing it. And if I could get that off my plate, it is going to free up my brain space, my energy, my time.
Mhm.
Start with those things. Do an audit of where you're spending your time or what your team is working on,
Yeah.
because we want to make sure that our team that they're working in their zone of genius for their specific role and not getting bogged down with the tedious tasks within that role
Mhm.
or yourself. So start
Yeah.
with those things. And again, so email newsletter, for example, what is the process for putting that together? And then breaking each of those steps down. Now we have, oh, okay, I need such and such tool to do this, or I can build an automation for this. But
Mhm.
those types of things, the repetitive things that are going on in the business that are just tasks that you don't want to be doing, that are
Yeah.
just draining your energy, start with those things, get those things off your plate, and then from there then you could get more creative. So for example, if you've got, hopefully you're looking at a P&L every month, well, you could have
Mm.
ChatGPT or Claude or Google's Gemini to analyze that P&L and give you ideas for how to increase profit,
Yeah.
or find trends or what have you. So those are sort of like a little bit more
Yeah.
advanced, but be thinking about how can this be made easier. And then in order to answer that, again, I keep going back to it, is like, what are the steps? And then figuring out, all right, what are the things that we can do in order to make that happen?
Yeah. So we just had an experience where last month our expenses were just so much higher than last month. We thought, "Oh, maybe it was Facebook ads. Like let's go look. What was payroll?" And we couldn't figure it out. This is the perfect thing to let it. I mean, we were going through it very very, line by line.
Totally.
But
Yep.
to throw this in there and say, "You tell me, what are
Yeah,
you noticing? Why is it this much more than last month? Like what did we do different?"
absolutely.
And like it sometimes it's like 60 seconds and it has the answer. Like it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. So then, I mean, that's a perfect example too of like, let's just say that maybe your team is trying to like, all right, where did this come from? What happened?
Yeah.
Well, an analysis of that data can help set priorities for the team, and for that,
Yeah.
like, oh, it was whatever was causing that increase in cost last month. oh, this person over here on the team sees that, understands it, and can now go take action to improve that. And
Mhm.
all of that whole thing was sped up by leveraging AI.
Yeah. And I think too, what people have to understand is the more you can feed it a system and say, like, this is
Yep.
how I want it done, or this is what I like, how you just said, I like a stat at the top of it with this, right? So I think some people freak out because they're like, but I don't have systems. They're in my head.
Hmm.
But if you can just pause for a minute and think, how do I really write this newsletter? Right? How do I really weed through resumes? How do I really, right? Well, when I weed through a resume, I'm looking for that they're not hopping around and have a new job every other month. Okay, what's the minimum I want to see? And you just start
Yeah.
feeding it like all this information. Weeding through resumes is a nightmare, right? It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You have to go through hundreds sometimes.
Perfect
Imagine,
example of AI.
yeah,
What AI can do. Yeah.
it's unbelievable, and it's only gonna feed you the ones that you said, right? So it's like, again, you have to be smart enough still. We're still using your brain to figure out what this looks like, but it just becomes this assistant that is like speeding up all of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect example of like, all right, you know what? Um, you put out a job post and I don't know what, you get 50 applicants.
Yeah.
And how much time is it gonna take you to, whittle that down to the top 5 that are
Yeah.
gonna make the first interview or what have you? Like, that's hours. If you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have a system for that, it's gonna take you a ton of time. And
Mhm.
then what most people don't wanna do with that is like, "You know what? Okay, I get it. I know what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
How do I put that into a prompt or a tool or what have you in order to try to make that easier to
Yeah.
use AI to be able to do it?" And
Yeah.
again, I know that you do a lot of ads, and I keep going back to that example. It's like you're not going to hit it out of the park on day one.
My
So it's
gosh.
not like you're gonna find the
Mhm.
perfect prompt that solves everything in your resume, you know, process and analysis. You're gonna have to tweak that until you dial it in, and then like once you dial it in, okay, cool, all right, I'm good at saving you a ton of time. I kind of look
Mhm.
at it like passive income,
Yeah.
where it's like you put that work in upfront. It's
Yes.
gonna take you some time to do it, but the
Mhm.
idea is you're gonna see the returns ongoing after that initial, amount of work.
Yeah, so good. Okay. And that is what it is. This is a temporary sacrifice to set this up.
Yep.
If you can put in the time now, if you're listening, you're like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it
Yeah.
next month, next quarter. And we're sitting here and it's like 2027 and you still have barely
Yeah.
scratched the surface. You're just wasting so much time and money by not like getting serious about this now and setting up the work.
Yeah. Totally.
So good. Okay. So, how do we make sure though that, like you said, the first time I ever tried it, I put something in and I was like, this isn't very good. And I was like
Yeah.
unimpressed with AI, right?
Yeah.
So then I think I took a little break of like, yeah, no, I'm not really going to use it. But like you said, we have to put in that time. How do we make sure that as we're starting to really utilize this, that we're not losing the personal touch or all of a
Yeah.
sudden like every part of our business is just automated with AI? And,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a scary thing for many people listening.
Totally. The big one mistake that people make with a big one is like, all right, I'm going to have whatever Claude write this email.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it into Kit or whatever and
Yeah.
send it out. It's I want to really encourage people, don't ever think of it as like a copy and paste. Like
Mhm.
it's gonna get you, depending on how good your prompt is and how, your knowledge base and all that stuff. Hopefully, it's getting you to about 90%.
Mhm.
And then, but that other 10% is really important. Is like you go in and you put your personality into it. If it's missing, you put personal stories in there, you do some editing or what have you, or somebody on your team is doing this. It is not a copy and paste in
Yeah.
order to,
Mhm.
speed that process up. It's speeding it up because it got you to 90% and you're not looking at a blank screen. Most
Yes.
business owners, this is where they're looking for content help with
Mhm.
AI. And
What
it's
do I
like,
say? What do I do? Like, what do
yeah,
they wanna hear from me, right?
exactly. And you can do that with in a whole bunch of different ways. Like I actually in the middle of recording a YouTube video right now, walking through creating a $1 million offer idea.
Mm.
And so, for example, like the first step is creating that customer profile, understanding your target audience. Well, you can use AI to do
Mhm.
that. Um, But yeah, creating that content and to get it to sound like you in my membership, it is the first thing I have people do is create what I like to call a writing style paragraph where you're teaching AI how to sound like you, your tone of voice, your writing style, your structure, your format, what have you. And
Mhm.
essentially you're feeding it writing examples.
Yep.
Some people, have a book, some people like have a podcast. As long By the way, as long as you talk like you write, use transcripts. Same
Okay.
thing with video, use transcripts. But a lot of
Yep.
people too are like, no, 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 I write very differently than I talk. Okay, cool. So you're not going to want to use a transcript to train AI to write like you. So you can use anything. You can use emails, blog posts, whatever writing samples that you have that sound like you can be giving it to. Now, by the way, Claude, by far the better AI model
Okay.
to use for writing. Way
Oh,
better than
interesting.
ChatGPT. Way better than ChatGPT.
I'm using Perplexity.
So Perplexity is great
Okay.
for research, and you can access if you're paying for the
I
Perplexity
am.
Pro. You can use the Claude 3.5 Sonnet,
Got
which
it.
is at this
Mhm.
time Claude's highest model.
Okay.
You can use it within there, and
Okay.
so you might be getting the benefit of writing content right from within there. I do know a
Yeah.
lot of people actually. I have students that use Perplexity for pretty much everything.
Okay.
It's great. It's a great tool.
It's one of those things where it's like, I was in ChatGPT, I heard about Perplexity, I went to Perplexity, I was like, "Oh, this is better," but I also am getting stronger, so I could
Yes.
be prompting it in a better way,
Yep.
which is giving me better content.
Yep.
So who knows, right? I mean, I'm growing with it,
Yep.
but just like you would onboard somebody on your team and you pour into them for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days,
Yep.
that is exactly what we're doing here. Like, I want everybody listening to think of AI as their next hire. Like,
Totally.
we are hiring this person to
Yep.
do this,
Yep.
and we're going to teach them and we're going to pour into them. So it's not going to take any longer than it takes to onboard a physical, like a real human, right? We're just looking at them the same way.
Yeah, and the cool thing with AI is you're gonna get an immediate result,
Oh,
like
yeah.
immediate result,
Yeah.
so that you can say, "Okay, you know what? That wasn't very good. I'm gonna tweak this, or I'm gonna revise the prompt, or whatever
Yeah.
it might
Well,
be."
sometimes you can say, I don't think this is very good. Could you make this better for me? Or you're not
Yeah,
going to say that to a human like, hey, Rick, thanks for the first draft. It's awful.
yeah, yeah.
Need you to rework this entire thing. You could say to AI, I really don't like this. Like, I would like to see. So you're
I
more honest. You're going to get a better output.
I did a video on my YouTube channel, called, I forget what it's called, like the end of prompt engineering or something like that, and it ruffled a lot of feathers. I get a lot of
Oh,
people on there being like, just not nice comments. But the point of that is these AI models are getting so smart that
mm,
you can just go in there and just have a conversation with it. Meaning, like, you don't have to, I mean, it is helpful to have some semblance of a prompt. But if you're like, I don't want to deal with this, I just want to talk to Claude, for example, and ask it for what I want it to do. So you can go in there and say, I want to write an email newsletter for my online business or for my business or what have you.
mhm.
And then you can literally say, what information would be helpful for you to know in order to do this? And it'll tell
So
you.
good.
And so then you just answer the questions
Yeah.
and then it will write, and then you just give it feedback. You're just
Mhm.
having a conversation with it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, I don't like that, whatever. I don't like the intro of this
Mhm.
email. Can you change it? It'll rewrite it. So it's really, that's the big skill too that I try to make in this video is you have to be able to ask for what you actually want
Mhm.
done.
Yeah.
That sounds so easy, but
I know.
that is hard to do,
Yeah, it is.
to
'Cause
clearly
sometimes people
articulate.
don't know what to do or what they want. They wanna be told, right?
Yep.
So, I was about to go into a team meeting, and I was just feeling like I needed to come in with something more motivational that I was gonna train on.
Yep.
So, I quickly went in there and I said, "Listen, I'm about to speak to this department
Yep.
in my company. We're about this revenue, right? I am wanting to motivate them, inspire them, help them hit these KPIs. Here are 5 things I really want them to know. Please help me write something that could be like a 30-minute presentation. Literally
Perfect.
60 seconds, walk in. And for me, I can just look at a sentence and then just talk about it and
Yeah.
just be yourself. You're a leader. You are the leader of the company. Like,
Yeah.
they want to hear your opinion. So if you're like, I don't even know what to do in team meetings, or there you go. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
yeah.
and that's a perfect example because you're like, you know what? I'm just having a I am block right now on what
Mhm.
I can talk about. I've talked about all these different things. What should I talk about?
Right. What's left?
That
What have I
just
not
sa-
said?
that just saved you hours.
Oh yeah.
And so what you could do with that is, for example, you could create an assistant
Mhm.
because I would assume that you're having these meetings regularly.
Yep.
So you could come up with a prompt for this assistant,
Mhm.
feed it all the past topics that you've already done, for example, into the knowledge base. And then whenever you want a new idea, you go in there and say, can you give me 5 new ideas to talk about this
Right. Well, that
week?
I have already talked about. So it
Right.
knows what we've been doing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So good. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people, I'll say to them, you're not having meetings. You need to start having meetings. But they're like, what am I doing in these meetings?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? I'm like, we're here to motivate. We're here to inspire, but that's
Yeah.
not our natural, the behaviors we
Yeah.
typically have. Sometimes we're micromanagers and just like, you did this wrong, you did that wrong.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make them want to do anything. Right.
It's one
So,
of
okay.
those things where I do think people miss the opportunity to use AI
Mhm.
to just tell it, just say, just like you did, Stacey, is like, look,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to be doing, but can you help me come up with ideas? Or I
Yeah.
don't know what to talk about. You could even say, I want to accomplish X, but I don't know how to prompt you
Mhm.
meaning ChatGPT or Claude or what have you,
Yeah.
in order to help get me this. Like, how should I prompt you? And it will tell you. It
Yeah.
will tell you.
So good. Okay. I want to go ahead and go the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm a big, like, I like to plan and I like to plan for what could go wrong. So,
Mhm.
what are some challenges,
Yeah.
pitfalls, things you've seen yourself or with clients that we need to be aware of so we don't make that same mistake?
Yeah. It really is that first thing that we talked about is like understand the problem first and
Okay.
then fit in the tools and so forth. The other thing is that people want to jump right to automation. And it's just like, okay, I want to set something up such that um I don't know. So for So for every all right, I want to set an automation up for every resume that I get in.
Mhm.
It is doing the check for me. And then if yes or no, then it splits out, does the automate. People want to jump to that, I think, too quickly
Okay.
without even understanding how to actually use AI to accomplish something, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
they spend their time figuring out how to use Make or Zapier in order to do this stuff, but when in fact, let's just start with that simple prompt first.
Mhm.
Start there, test it out with, in this hypothetical with a resume to see if it works, and then you can start to build off of that.
Okay.
The other thing too is like really focus on the tasks, like delegating to AI, those tasks that are the biggest pain in the butt, the biggest energy
You
sucks, the
dread.
repetitive
Yeah.
stuff. Start there to get
Okay.
those things off your plate and
Yep.
then continue to move through.
Okay. Amazing. Where this is, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, where do you see this going? Like, if you and I talk in 5 years, what
Ooh.
is our life looking like? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is
Yeah.
coming? Like, what is just some crazy stuff we can't even fathom?
The big thing is the agent part
Okay. Which
where,
means what?
well, we're not going to be prompting anything. We are just going to be, I mean, 5 years
I know. I mean, it
is
could be like
so
90 days and it's going
I
to look
would
like
I would say where are we at the end of next year? The end of 2025 is
that.
really going to be with this agentic technology, this
Okay.
AGI as they say,
Okay.
is we're just going to be able to put a task in here like um create me I want to start a podcast and this is the topic, go. And it does all of the things. It doesn't not recording it necessarily. I mean, it could record it, but
Eventually, yes.
it does all of those things,
Yeah.
it sets it up in Buzzsprout or whatever you're using. Like it does all those things. It writes the outlines for the episodes. It could be reaching out to people to set up like it's going to do all that. That
Okay.
technology is not far off. And I
Okay.
really think by the end of next year, another 13 months or so, maybe not to that extent,
Yeah.
but there's going to be a level of that where we just put in what we want done and it's going to do it.
Which is amazing. And then
Yep.
there's this other side that's like, that's terrifying. So anybody can come
Hmm.
in and just, dominate, right?
Yep.
Are there any things that we can be proactively thinking about,
Yeah.
or how do we lean into like still keeping our credibility when anybody can start fresh tomorrow?
Yeah. Number one, it's you got to lean into AI at this point. If
Yeah.
if you're not, your competitor is 100%.
And you
So
can't compete with how fast they're going. You have
exactly.
to use it.
Yep. You have to just learn the basics, learn how to use it, learn what can do what. Like I said, you know, understand that Claude is a better writer than
Mm,
ChatGPT, for example.
okay.
Um, you've got to lean into it, learn. It is not a nice to have these days. It is a must to have.
Mm,
Another thing is really lean into your personality and what sets you apart from everybody else,
mm,
and really leaning into your personality, your stories, that sort of thing. What makes you unique and how you specifically help people or other businesses. Really
mm.
leaning into that. The other thing too, and I've never been a big fan of memberships
Yep.
because but the community aspect is
Mm.
something that AI
Oh,
cannot take away, right?
yeah.
And so that's
Yep.
why I started. The other thing too is like AI is changing every day, so creating a course or what have you doesn't make sense. But the more community that you can create around your business, AI
Yeah.
is not going to be able to replicate that.
Okay.
Um,
That is actually really good for me to hear because we've really taken on events and in person. We
yep,
just had one last week and the people were like, "Oh my gosh, these are my people."
yeah,
And that actually just made me feel so good to know like
yeah.
you can't replicate what we just did in person. There's no way.
People, I mean, I hear that from all that time. People are like, I went to this event or I went to such and such mastermind and it was, we did this weekend and wherever. Like, people
Yeah.
absolutely still want that. They're craving that connection. That is not, I think that's only going to increase. And
Okay.
so if you can incorporate more of
Excellent.
that aspect into your business in some way, I think you're going
Mhm.
to set yourself apart.
Yeah, so good. Oh my goodness. Okay, hit the like button if you've learned something new you didn't know before today. We've covered so much stuff. So, AI to scale your business more efficiently, focusing on productivity, getting more out of your team, reducing costs because of that, and just different processes. So, Rick, this has been so good. Where can people find you? Learn more about AI. Like this
Yeah.
is your wheelhouse. So, where can they go?
Cool. Thank you for that. I have a YouTube channel. Just search for my name on YouTube. I'm putting out. We focus a lot on tools. We
Okay.
focus a lot on use cases for businesses, for online businesses specifically.
Hmm.
The newsletter. It's called the AI Playbook. If you want to sign up for that, just go to my website.
Hmm.
There'll be a link in the description of YouTube videos as well. And then I have a membership community. I started on School. It's called the AI Playbook Premium, and I'm very active in that. And so I can shoot you a link, and if you want to
We'll
link to
put it
that.
in the
But
show
yeah,
notes.
so
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
absolutely.
continuing to serve online businesses.
Okay, I love it. So, Rick is an expert in online businesses. But what I will tell you for everybody listening who's like, I don't have an online business. First of all, there's so much in today's episode that you could do if you had a brick and mortar or whatever type of business you have. Even a lot of brick and mortars don't have the building anymore. But even my studio, we are still pumping out content on social. We're still writing newsletters. We're even using this for like our dance studio. Like one of the biggest nightmares is trying to get every dance class on a rehearsal schedule. And what's so funny is like this used to take hours and hours and hours. We would say like, here are the students, make sure there are no siblings in different shows, make sure that they don't have quick
Yeah.
changes. Now you just tell AI and it's like literally life changing. So here's
Yeah.
what I will tell you. There's not a lot of people out there teaching it. And even if you're a brick and mortar, I think you're going to learn so much from Rick, even though he's like, this is for online businesses.
Yeah.
When I listen to his stuff, I'm like, ooh, the studio can do this and Well Oiled can do this. So I really, really think he's still your guy to go check out. So,
Appreciate
Rick,
that.
Thank you for your time. This has been so, so valuable. I know my audience just is keep like begging for more and more AI. So I'm excited to have them pop on over to your channel and check it out. For those listening, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, share, review. It means the world to us. My name is Stacey Tuschel, your guide to streamlining and scaling your business. We'll see you in the next video.